As a woman, I genuinely feel that we need to learn from men. And what we do need to learn from men is audacity. Because men, they do not wait to feel ready. They're not sitting there comparing themselves to 100 other people and spiraling into this I am not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not attractive enough. They just go for things. They will apply for opportunities they're not even fully qualified for. They will slide into the DMs of the women who's clearly out of their league. Why? Because audacity. And so, as women, we need more of that. The audacity to ask for more, go for more, and actually try for things that we want instead of just sitting there convincing ourselves that we are not ready yet. Because if you really think about it, most people are not stuck because they lack the capability, they are stuck because they hesitate. And that hesitation just doesn't come out of nowhere, it comes from comparing yourself constantly to others. You look at somebody who's doing better than you, and for a moment, it does feel like inspiration, like, wow, man, they're just doing so great. I feel so motivated. But then, very quickly, you will notice that it turns into you looking at your own life and feeling like whatever you have done is just not enough. Not because it isn't actually enough, but because now you're measuring it against somebody else's timelines, somebody else's journey, and somebody else's life. And then comes the worst part, that you don't just feel like you have done less, you start to feel like whatever you will do next is not going to be enough. So instead of moving forward, you just slow down or you just stop. And that is the part that kills your growth, because growth is not about doing something once, it is about continuing, and comparison quietly takes away your ability to continue. Now think about how stupid this is logically. You see somebody who's doing better than you, and instead of that pushing you, it makes you question your own progress, so much so that you stop doing anything at all. I mean, great strategy, really helping, and this happens because you assume that you are playing the same game as them, but you're not. Not everybody has the same starting point, not everybody has the same opportunities, same exposure, same mindset, same resources. And even if two people start at the same place somehow, then life will still play out very differently for them. So when you compare yourself to someone else, you're not being ambitious. You are just being unfair to yourself. And I have been there. I have literally looked at people my age doing so much better than what I am doing. And I thought, then what am I doing? What am I actually doing? But then I had to actually sit with that thought and ask, like, okay, if I keep thinking like this, what is then going to happen? Am I going to reach at their level of success overnight just because I compared myself to them? No. All I am going to feel is worse, lose whatever momentum I already have, and delay my own progress. So, how is that helping me? It's not. And that's when you realize your only real competition is not them, it is you. You from months ago, you from a year ago. Because if I actually look at my own life, the version of me from 1 or 2 years ago could not have imagined the life that I am living right now. Being able to live by myself, travel by myself, being able to eat whatever I want without having to constantly check my bank account, that was not normal for me. So clearly there is growth, but if I sit here comparing myself to somebody else, that I am not doing enough based on what? Somebody else's life? That's where it starts to get ridiculous. And so to tackle this, there comes in gratitude, which is not just a feel good concept, but it is something very, very practical. Because when you don't acknowledge what you already have, your brain is constantly operating from lack. What it will do is it will keep on focusing what is missing, what is not enough, what you don't have yet. And when that becomes your default state, nothing will ever feel satisfying or enough. Think of it like this: if you give your friend something which is not very big, but they genuinely appreciate it, they're happy, they acknowledge it, then that will make you feel good for giving it to them. On the other hand, if they act like it's not that big of a deal, it's not that special, and doesn't really matter, then you don't feel like giving them more. Same thing. You always get more of what you already have. In the Bible, there is this one line: to the one who has, more will be given. And from the one who does not have, even what they have will be taken away. Now, obviously, it's not talking about material things, right? It's more about your inner state. If you operate from the mindset of enoughness, of gratitude, you naturally expand from that. But on the other hand, if you operate from lack, from I don't have enough, that state keeps on reinforcing itself. So when you're constantly comparing yourself and focusing on what you don't have, you're literally conditioning yourself to experience more of that. However, good news: when you do acknowledge what you already have, you create the base for growth from there. And then comes in another important part: you do not get what you wish for, you get what you have the audacity to ask and show up for. I'll say it again. You do not get what you wish for, you get what you have the audacity to ask and show up for. You will see people who are constantly going after things, people, opportunities, spaces that others would hesitate to even think about. These people, they just decide to show up anyways. But if you are not even going to ask for more, then how are you expecting to get more? I mean, if you want 4 chocolates, but you ask for two, how many will you get? Two, or maybe one, right? Same thing. The thing is, you can't be asking for more while constantly putting yourself down through comparison. That's a contradiction. I mean, on the one hand, you want to grow, expand, do better, but on the other hand, you keep on reinforcing this idea that you're not enough. Then, honey, how is that going to work? Because if you're constantly being hard on yourself, feel like you're not doing enough, then at some point you're just going to get exhausted. You're a human after all. And when you are exhausted, you stop. When you stop, your growth stops. So it's not time, it's not money, it's not competition. It's the way you perceive yourself. It's the way you are looking at yourself in comparison to others. That is slowing your progress. And with that, I will see you in the next video.